Hello and welcome to what should be a nice, quick, short episode. Um, what I did here is I made those like decorative electric furnaces that also like radiate heat. Like, I basically made one of those, except without the heat. um, basically, it generates the height of the flame. Basically, each of these, every single pixel going along the width of the screen is just a red line being drawn from the bottom of the screen up. And the height of that line is randomly generated. And the way I have it set up is if we were to expand it, it turns red. It crashed. If we get it back running and try to expand it, yeah, if it doesn't crash, don't know why it crashed. Had no reason to, but it should just expand out. Just keep doing more. And these stones are to mark the maximum size, and you can also expand up, but that doesn't really have much of a use right now until you flick this lever, because what the computer's doing is every single update it checks if there's a if the redstone input of the top side of the computer is on, which means if we turn on this lever, the computer will do something. So let's flick the lever. Yes, now it will generate smoke. It actually generates the smoke down at the bottom of the screen like it does with the fire. It's just that it prints the smoke before it prints the fire, so the fire is printed over the smoke. And just like how the fire will spread out along that way, if we build the screen up, the smoke will just continue going up. Like so. And so that is the largest screen you can possibly get. And there you go. It's only about 44 lines of code. In fact, I'll show the code to you right now. Here we are. This is it. I'll enter it up a bit there to get that in. So yeah, this is it. If I do release a download for this, most likely through pastebin, but I don't know. Like, the only requirements for it is optional redstone input on top, monitor connected to back, and it has to be advanced. Those are the only requirements for this to work. And you don't need this here because if it's off, the smoke just won't be there. You only need the redstone input if you want the smoke. And you can just like put a redstone torch over here instead of having a lever. So like you could just do that and it would work fine. Basically just anything that emits a redstone signal, as long as that signal reaches the top of the computer, it'll turn the smoke on. But yeah, and you can go into the code and you can adjust where is it? Can't find it. Yeah, these two values here. This is the Y level where the smoke generates. So the origin, the 0, 0 coordinate of the screen is over here, and this is the 1, 1 coordinate, which is where you most often start your things. I don't know. And so this is actually the highest Y value you can get down here at the bottom. And so it will have H by default because each cycle it does this here, which assigns the variables W and H the dimensions of the screen, and W is the width. So each time it updates, it'll set the value of W to the amount of pixels it is wide. It'll set the value of H to the amount of pixels it is tall. And so by putting H there, it'll have the smoke particles spawning at the bottom of the screen. And this is the spawn frequency or whatever. Basically what that is how many smoke particles are generated with each update. So the way I have that set up is to keep the same density of smoke particles no matter what the width of the screen is. I just have it relative to the width of the screen. And the reason why it's divided by 8 is because divided by 2 and divided by 4 are way too crowded. And the smoke particles generate... When it generates a smoke particle, it sets the Y value to whatever you put in that first slot, so it would be H, which is down there. And then the X value is random from there to there. And then each update, the smoke particle will move up 1, and then it'll randomly decide to move over 1, just stay going straight, or move the other direction over 1. So it generates a random number between -1 and +1 and adds that to the X value, basically. That's how the smoke works. And with the fire, it just starts at column 1 and works its way over to column W. And like I said, W is the amount of pixels wide, and each column would be 1 pixel. And so basically, each time it does the exact same thing. It generates a random number between here and about here, I believe it is. And that's how long it'll draw the line, and then it'll move on to the next one until it reaches the end here. And then it waits, I think it's 0.10 seconds. No, it's 0.15 seconds. So that's 150 milliseconds, I believe. I don't know. Before it will clear the screen to white, draw the smoke particles if they are turned on, and then draw the flames again. One thing that you should keep in mind, though, is with the smoke particles on, it'll slowly build up lag. Like, it won't lag your actual Minecraft game, but the amount of time between each frame on this will begin to increase, and that 0.15 seconds will become extended, because even though that smoke particle reaches the top of the screen, you can no longer see it anymore, it's still there. It's just not being printed anymore. And each cycle, it checks, is that pixel being used? Is that smoke particle being used? No. Moving on. So even though it doesn't do anything else with that smoke particle, it's still there, and it still does something to it to check whether it needs to do anything else with it. And so it will build up over time. Like, if you leave it running for a few hours, it probably won't make a difference, but if you leave it running overnight, in the morning, like, it'll probably be a millisecond slower than it should be. But that's not really a big deal. But again, over time that would build up. So if you like had it running in the spawn chunk of a server that's open 24/7, over the course of a few weeks or about a month, that time delay will eventually become noticeable. So, however, if you just turn it off, it doesn't get rid of the smoke particles, but at least it's not simulating them. So, yeah, if now you could just leave it running, it'll never build up lag ever because it doesn't have any infinitely expanding tables because that's how the smoke particles work. However, to keep the lag from building up so much, you could basically what you could do is instead of having this run on the startup script, you could have it running on not on a separate script, and then the startup script can be its own separate thing that runs it, and basically you can add something to this script so that like every like 500,000 cycles it'll reboot the computer so that the table which keeps track of the x and y coordinates for all the smoke particles doesn't just expand infinitely. It'll just get to like 500,000 and then the computer reboots resetting everything. However, you only need to do that if you want to deal with that. Like, it's only for aesthetics. Like, it's you don't if you don't want to make it complicated, you don't have to. But yeah, at at that point, I probably have to like make it downloadable. I guess I don't know. It's just one script, so it should be easy. But yeah. When I do make the download, when I do make it downloadable, I won't like put it under a copyright or anything. I like that because I can guarantee you that I'm not the first person to do this anyways. So I don't really have the right to put it under a copyright. Nor do I have the time to even bother doing that. uh, but so yeah, you can copy it, tell other people that you made it, because if they think you, if they, if they know you have enough programming capabilities to pull this off, and they believe that you actually did pull this off, then that means you probably are capable of pulling this off, and you just use me as a shortcut. And if you aren't capable of pulling this off, then your friends would know that. Or else they're not true friends. I don't know. But you can like change the colors all you want. Future changes I want to make to it is since the heights of these is completely random right now, it has like sudden differences. Like right here it can be max height, and then all of a sudden like the smallest height possible. Just like no transition between the two, and I would like I'm gonna like try and fix that so it has a bit of a flow to it. I wouldn't want it to be like waves, but like it can't like nothing more than like I would limit it to at most like a 5 pixel difference, I don't know, to make it look a bit smoother. And then maybe if I really feel bored, I will add in some extremely complex logic stuff. I don't know, that would like calculate the distance a pixel is from the nearest white pixel or something like that, and that will determine the color of it. So like the further into the fire you go, like the closer it gets to white or something. I don't know. That's far in the future. I have no idea how I would pull that off. In fact, I was a bit skeptical about. I was a bit. I didn't exactly believe that I would be able to pull off the smoke. I'm impressed that I pulled off the smoke. Because the way I pulled off the smoke is something that I've tried to do with other things before. However, this is the very first time I've gotten it to work. So, I am impressed with myself. Anyways, I'll end it there. See you guys next time. Oh dear. That button does not pause recording. That was the wrong button combination. I may have just screwed some things up. I don't know. Shouldn't affect the whole episode. See you guys next time.